Good evening. Good evening. Mr. Nixon, would you lead us in prayer? Go ahead.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day and the many blessings you've given us all, Lord. We come to you tonight. I ask you to look over us tonight as we deliberate through the needs of the county and do what's in the best interest of the Lord. Pray you be with us. Pray you be with our land and heal us, Lord, as we go through the trying times we're going through. Be with all the people that are suffering. Try to get us back on our feet. Just be with us as we get through this pandemic, Lord. Just be with our first responders, all people that are in our healthcare industry, our military, everyone overseas. Bring them back home safely, Lord. Pray you be with the lost, the sick, and all those in need. Thank you so much for my salvation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hear me? Everybody hear me? All right, we will start with the roll call today.
Shannon Green,
Present.
Glenn Reese,
Here.
Terry Gibbons,
Here.
Billy Bass,
Here.
Greta Kirby, Jason Stewart,
Here.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Here.
Daniel Cripps,
Here.
Dalton Paschal,
Here.
Shannon Meachie, Erica Ebel, Ron Shoemate,
Here.
Ron Cowan,
Here.
Linda Nixon,
Here.
Eddie Stout,
Here.
Roger Dew,
Here.
Charles Kent,
Here.
Bill Reese,
Here.
Tommy Vane,
Here.
Joey Nixon,
Here.
Dennis Hackett,
Here.
Justin Dillahay, David Gross,
Here.
Frank Woodard,
Here. 20, 22, 22 or 24? Okay, thank you. All right, next item is the approval of the minutes from the March 9th meeting. Motion approved by David Gross.
Second.
Second by Dennis Hackett. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? They are stand approved. All right, item number 6 is announcements. Tonight, Ms. Barbara Knappel with the Drug Prevention Coalition is going to give us an update on what they've been doing for Smith County. So, Ms. Barbara, if you want to come up, there's a wireless mic.
Good evening. It's good to be with you all tonight. I miss seeing all your faces. I miss seeing adults these days, of being out of the house, so it's good to see all of you all. I don't really miss being in that seat up there where you guys are now anymore, but I do appreciate all that you do. And we typically come once a year and let you all know kind of what's going on with the Drug Prevention Coalition. Some of you may be actively involved, others of you may not know what's going on with us. So we do have a new grant that is possibly going to be happening here in Smith County. And so I think that was in your packet, and I'll go ahead and talk to you about that. First, it is a part of the Lifeline program, if anybody's familiar with that. And that is a program that over the last few years, the state of Tennessee faith-based initiative has hired lifeliners who are people in recovery. You can only be a lifeliner across Tennessee if you are a person in long-term recovery, and there are thousands and thousands of people in long-term recovery. So there is hope for addiction, and we are seeing a lot more of that in coalitions and in counties across the state. But we have, you have kind of a draft in your packet about that grant. We are very thankful that Smith County government has been our fiscal agent for the grants that we brought into the county. More than $1 million, probably getting closer to $2 million. If I'd had time to add it up today, I was going to do that. But as we've had those grants that have come in, 100% grants, no cost to the taxpayers here, But if we've spent over $1 million in Smith County on prevention, and for every dollar spent on prevention, data shows us, research shows us that we get $4 back for every dollar we spend. So those are dollars that have been spent here in working on helping people to preventing our younger people. We have a lot of programs in the schools, but also working on, to help those in recovery and to stay in recovery long term. So this grant would be for a lifeline person that would be, we would receive the grant in Smith County. Again, this is a draft, but it would be about a $65,000 grant that the county would also be our fiscal agent for. And it would be sending someone out to someone that would be hired to work in Smith County, a full-time position, but they would also be serving in other counties. And my understanding, and briefly looking over these goals, is that they would actually be working with faith-based programs, but they will also be working with those individuals that are involved in DCS in some way. And if they have addiction issues and cannot find help, cannot find recovery programs or rehab, then they would help them get into recovery programs. So again, I talked with Mr. Monty Burks. I don't know if you guys have met him before, just an amazing man that the state of Tennessee really is the only one doing this right now, and a lot of other states are looking at us. He is over the faith-based initiative in Tennessee. He started several years ago. He's been here, spoke several times, and then he's hired 3 people across the state. We have a Middle Tennessee representative now, Mr. Jamie Harper, and he comes and helps us here quite a bit. So he's over this initiative and just bringing people together across the state that can serve and help those people that need help. And because, you know, whether we feel like addiction is a disease or a moral failing or a choice to just go out and get high, it's affecting every one of us in some way. And so we are very grateful that we've been able to have the Drug Coalition started by you all, not started by me, but started by Smith County leaders, elected officials, faith-based leaders in Smith County, began in 2011 meeting and seeing that if we don't do something, we're going to continue to see the devastation that affects all of our community in some way, all of our families in some way. So you do have this. It has the goals and objectives in there. Again, I would like to, because it is a contract that the county would need to sign and oversee the spending, I want to be sure that you guys have a good understanding. But when I talked with Mike Burks this morning, he said because of the pandemic, he lives in Davidson County, he has not been able to actually get with the commissioner. He serves under the commissioner, and he's not been able to get with her to finalize details. So if this happens, my thought is that it would be on your budget in June before the end of the fiscal year. So if anybody has any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer those. Yes. Yes.
So this would be, the grant is to fund a full-time position.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like recurring, like grant, or?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, because that could be and it could not be. We really don't know. All the grants that we have 4 grants that the county actually is fiscal agent for now. One was a 5-year grant. One has been ongoing. It is block grant funds and has been ongoing since we started in 2012. We've been funded every year, and every year they increase that a little bit. Our other grant, our SOR grant, that is has to do with opioid overdose deaths, and Kobe's going to tell you a little bit about that. He works as a regional overdose prevention specialist for that grant. But that had started out as a 2-year grant. We're now in our 3rd year, and we know we have a 4th coming. So I would see this, all the lifeliners that have been hired over the last 4 or 5 years maybe, are still have those grants. So I would see it be reoccurring, but you know, that changes with different leadership and that kind of thing, or as funds are available, but I would see it be a reoccurring. We would hope that it would. Yes?
How many successful recoveries have you had, say, in the past year?
Successful recoveries in the past year. Do you have a number, Kobe?
Covering addicts or the naloxone is saved?
Are you talking about overdose saves?
I'm talking about drug addiction.
Drug addiction. That number is really hard to count. But, so I know, I could probably look for that number, but I don't have a number of, in our county, are you saying? In our county. Just the number that we see come through our office has definitely increased over the last couple of years. At the beginning of the coalition, we weren't talking about addiction. We weren't talking about recovery. It was kind of, that's what those people do, and they're the bad people, so we'll just kind of ignore that problem. But now we're talking about that problem. We're seeing on Facebook all the time, I'm seeing people that are in long-term recovery, or maybe they'll share on Facebook, I've been in recovery for 30 days, I'm 30 days clean, or I'm 60 days clean. We do have a lot of recovery meetings. Here again, when we started in 2012, we were not having any recovery meetings here, and the support meetings are key to those people that are attempting recovery and want to stay in long-term recovery. So we have a meeting almost every night of the week here. Now they're probably online at the moment, but we have a lot more recovery meetings here. But to know a number, it would be really good to know that number. I think it would be difficult to find that, but definitely we've seen an increase. And any other questions on that grant? Because I did bring Colby with me. He is our regional overdose prevention specialist, but some of you guys may know him, and if you don't know him, he could probably tell more about what's going on in recovery here than I can. So I'm going to let him talk, and then I'm going to finish up with your other handout real quick after Colby gets through. You going to sit down?
Yeah.
Colby's cool like that. He's going to sit down.
My legs would just shake if I stand up, so I'm gonna sit down. My name is Colby Lane. I'm a recovering addict. The 30th of this month, I'll have 2.5 years clean. Before I got to Smith County in February of 16, I was unemployable, strung out. I had broken relationships. I really wasn't a lovable person. You know, I was probably costing the places I lived money versus being an asset. And I got in trouble down here, methamphetamine possession, opiate possession, and I got put on probation, and I violated my probation a couple times, to the point they told me that I could take recovery court or flatten my time. And at that point, I had been doing drugs for 14 years, and I was tired, and I didn't know there was a way out. I really didn't. I thought I would die, or I'd be in and out of jail the rest of my life. And so I took recovery court, with the hopes that the structure and accountability would build me a foundation moving forward. And if it didn't work, I'd be back where I was, so it was kind of a win-win for me. What I found was a group of people that loved me when I wasn't lovable. I graduated the recovery court program in 14 months. I had no sanctions. I think I passed 250-something drug tests. From there, I got the opportunity to go to work for Miss Barbara at the coalition. And at the time, I just thought that I would be able to, it would give me a way to stay sober by working in the field. And I wanted to help kids. I didn't want them to go the same route I went. I remember when I was in school that the only people that came to my school was a DARE officer, and he laid the ingredients for methamphetamines out. You know, like I didn't have people come to my school to educate me, inform me, talk about the reasons why people use the trauma from their childhood. I had none of that, you know. I just had drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism. So in working for the coalition, it's given me the opportunity to help other people. It's given me the opportunity to learn about why I did the things I did. And it's really given me a platform to more or less, you know, be able to change things, you know. I started off as an administrative assistant, and from there, Tommy Angel retired and I became a regional overdose prevention specialist. So what we do, we go around to the Upper Cumberland's 13 counties, and we educate people on the opioid epidemic, how to recognize signs and symptoms of an overdose, how to administer Narcan, and through our grant, we provide free Narcan and training. So, you know, that's where I'm at today. I probably have 3 to 5 people a week that reach out to me and ask me about meetings or how to get into treatment. And, you know, I wouldn't have that opportunity without something like the coalition. The coalition's given me an opportunity to go to Trousdale County and help them set up a coalition. In Macon County, I sit on the board up there. It's given me an opportunity to talk to kids. And every time I get a chance to talk to kids or groups, one person or a parent will come up to me and say, that really helped. And that's solely through what we do. And I'm gonna leave you with this. Barbara asked me to do this morning, and I said, sure. Last night I was at my girlfriend's parents, and her stepdad gave me a book. And the first chapter was called Turtle on a Fence Post. And he said, what do you think that means? And I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how a turtle would get on a fence post. He said, exactly. It doesn't. It has to have help to get up there. Every single one of us at some point has had somebody help us to get where we are. They showed us something, they taught us something, and that's what the coalition does. That's what it's done for me.
I think he deserves a hand. We've had quite a few people come into our office, and we gave them a chance for a position, and each one of those people that were in recovery that came to work in our office have gone on to do what really God has called them to do, whether it be in counseling. Two of them have gone into counseling, and another one has gone into actually working with juveniles in the court system, and now Colby. So I usually just, if we have an open position, I honestly pray about somebody coming into that position that is passionate about helping people and has empathy for those people that are broken. And it always turns into the greatest teaching for all of us on our team. We really are a close team. Everybody in our office is passionate about helping people to get into recovery, helping our community to grow and become stronger and healthier, and that's what we do as a coalition. So I'm really grateful for Colby, and I'm excited to see what he's doing. He is interested in the position for this Lifeliner, and it's funny because I've always been after Mr. Monty Burks, who's over this program in Tennessee. I always say, if you're going to hire another Lifeliner, I want one in Smith County, because Colby, Kendra, a lot of the people that have worked for us, Darlene Cahill, you guys know her probably through Recovery Court. She is always getting phone calls, middle of the night. They'll all get on the phone. If somebody wants to get into treatment, they'll spend 2 hours, and sometimes it takes 2 hours, doesn't it? Finding that person a grant bed and getting them into treatment. So I said, the people in this community are already doing Lifeline work, so if you're gonna hire a Lifeliner, I wanna have them in Smith County and want them to be here. Although he will reach out to Clay County and some of the distressed counties, Jackson. So Colby is being considered for this position. He's got some trainings he's got to go through and an interview with the state, but he is interested in this position, so he may be moving on to that if that grant does get housed here, or even if it doesn't, Colby will probably still be considered for that. So I just wanted to update you guys a little bit. This is similar to what I gave you last year, and I've just updated some of the data. And for those of you that don't know what the coalition does, I'd really like to go over it with you, and I promise I won't be long. Is your agenda long?
It's pretty good, yeah.
Okay, I know how it feels to sit back there, but I'll hurry. I only get one time before you guys a year, so I want you to know what we do, only if the community works together. Our staff is passionate, they work really hard, but they can't make a difference without all of you. We need the county, we need you all, we need the faith-based partners, we need the hospital, the medical workers, all sectors of the community as we come together. We are seeing some change, and I'll show you, you have a little graph that shows a little bit of what's going downhill, the numbers that are going downhill, thankfully, over the last few years. So how has the coalition made a difference in Smith County? Over $1 million in grant funding, prevention education in all the schools, parent youth education in juvenile court. The school surveys that we performed every 2 years show a decline in the past month's prescription drug use and an increase in the perceived risk of misusing prescription drugs among our youth. So they are beginning to get it. And we'll see down the road, we will see this continue to decline as we do this teaching with our young people. And we appreciate the school as a good partner in our prevention. So but also, this is a spiritual issue as well as a physical and mental issue. So more than 250 people in churches uniting together are praying every day about the consequences of addiction in Smith County. So, and this is all at no cost to the Smith County taxpayers. We do have a coalition meeting every second Wednesday. We have it this Wednesday will be by Zoom, and so if you'd like to join us, our faith-based coordinator for Middle Tennessee is going to be doing training on trauma-informed care, and Kobe touched on that a little bit. Sometimes the trauma that young people go through makes them more likely to abuse substances. So he's going to be doing a training on that. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send you that link. So Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition was developed by community and faith-based leaders in 2011. It was actually our youth services officer that started seeing what was happening with our kids, and she started calling the community leaders together. And I was just called to the table because I was a youth serving organization at that time, and really always have been. So that's why I was even involved. But it's comprised of parents, teachers, law enforcement, businesses, religious leaders, health providers, and other community activists who are mobilizing at the local level to make this community, our community, safer, healthier, and drug-free. The coalition is a partnership of the many sectors of the community which gather together collaboratively to solve the community's problems and guide the community's future. And I do believe that as we work together on preventing drug addiction, that it is going to affect in a positive way our community's future. We are driven by citizens-identified issues. Citizens become involved in all steps of the problem-solving process. So only as a coalition together in our community will we see a difference, but I think we're on that path. Coalitions have been defined as a formal arrangement for collaboration among groups or sectors of a community in which each group retains its identity, but all agree to work together toward the common goal of a safe, healthy, and drug-free community. For instance, in our sectors, our law enforcement, they do compliance checks in the stores because one of our targets is to reduce underage alcohol use as a gateway drug into other drugs. So we appreciate what our law enforcement does, and I know they're on the front line of this huge issue. Coalitions should have deep connections to the local community and serve as catalysts for reducing local substance use rates. As such, community coalitions are not prevention programs or traditional human service organizations that provide direct services, even though some of us do in our free time, but rather they are directed by local residents and sector representatives who have a genuine voice in determining the best strategies to address local problems. The hospital works closely with us. They hand out information for those people that might come to the ER with a drug problem or in an overdose situation. We give out resources. We gave you one of our resource lists tonight. And the last, did you know, accidental overdose is the #1 cause of death in people under age 50. Substance abuse touches every one of us. It affects our quality of life through our children, safety, health, education, economy, tax, and crime rate. I have a couple of friends in Cannon County that are taking their retirement fund, a couple my age, maybe a little bit older than me, and they're using their retirement to start a coalition in Cannon County because he's an engineer, he served on their county commission there. And when he did actually a survey of his county in comparison with other counties on spending. And he came up with a number that directly from the general fund, 20 to 24% of their general fund was spent on some kind of drug addiction. 20 to 24%, and I would say we're similar to that. And he's going to send me the survey he did, and I'm going to try to get some folks to help me put that same thing together if it would help you all. So it is affecting our economy here in the county. I know I've talked to a lot of, one of the things we want to do is, and we strive to do drug-free workplace training with the industries and businesses, because everyone that I've talked to, every HR person that I've talked to says they cannot get enough people to work that can pass a drug screen. So if we can't keep workers in our industry that we have, how will we bring more industry into our community? It really is affecting, if nothing else, our dollars, but it's affecting our families, it's affecting our children. Kobe and I work with the children at the youth center, the spot, and a lot of those kids are living with grandparents, have one parent incarcerated, They might be in foster care. So we know the effects that it's having on our kids. But if we don't look at anything else but what's affecting us, the taxpayers' funds here in our community. So we are the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition with the vision to engage, organize, and empower citizens in a comprehensive substance abuse prevention effort that will result in the reduction of substance abuse in Smith County. And we do specifically target binge drinking, underage tobacco use, prescription drug abuse, and the reduction of fatal overdoses. Our Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services that funds the coalitions reported 5 overdose deaths in 2018 in Smith County. But you know, that's 5 too many. One life is too many. Lives are precious, and we want to do whatever we can to save lives, and then we want to bring health to our community in some way. I really wanted to give you a better printout of your graph, but this is how my printer printed it, so I had to shrink yours down. So I'm going to tell you, what I want you to see is the line is going down, and that is Smith County prescription data. One of the things coalitions have proposed across the state and been working on since we were funded in 2012 is to reduce the number of prescriptions written. So this starts in 2015 with 6,252, I believe that's, in 2015, and then it steadily declined. So what we're seeing in 2019 is 4,976 prescriptions written. And we knew when we started to educate physicians and talk to physicians about the number of prescriptions. We had the database that they had to check so people couldn't doctor shop anymore. That's happened since we've been funded in 2012. So we are seeing a steady decline of the number of prescriptions written. Again, my friend in Cannon County, who is very, very smart, he says about 70% of people that get addicted went to their local physician and got that prescription. Not saying that that doctor intended for that to happen, nor maybe the patient didn't either, but in any case, that's where they came from. So we knew at that same time that we would start to see a lot of people that were addicted. We didn't have enough grant beds or enough recovery beds, so we knew we would start seeing a lot more overdoses, and we did. In 2015-16, they spiked. But now we are seeing those overdose deaths going down. The emergency department here at Riverview tells us that the number of people that they see coming into the ER with overdose situations, that number is way down. The biggest thing that I've seen coalitions do since 2012 is we were seeing in 2012 hundreds, thousands of babies being born addicted. But we are now seeing that number decreasing greatly. And that costs taxpayers millions of dollars because they had to be sent to Vanderbilt. They might spend a month, 2 months in Vanderbilt. Not to mention, that's an innocent baby that did not deserve to come into the world addicted. And so we've seen a great drop in the number of babies that are being born addicted. So we are seeing things get better. Sadly, with the pandemic, they predict that drug use is going to go up, overdose is going to go up a little bit, suicide rates are going up because people are losing their jobs, people are at home, people are more stressed, people are fearful. So we're hoping that that doesn't spike, and if it does, we're hoping we can quickly see that begin to drop again. So I just want you guys to see that numbers are going down. It is getting better, and we are in every sector of the community trying to make a difference. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Thank y'all for giving us your time.
All right, next we have Ms. Donna Barry.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me be here tonight. And I know you've got a pretty big agenda, so I'll try to get through my presentation quickly, if I can stay on track. Several of you I've met previously at county commission conventions that were hosted during the summer through your County Commissioners Association. So some of you are going to hear the same thing that I've talked about before. September 13 of last year, I met with Mayor Mason and we entered into a contract he entered into a contract on behalf of the county for me to assist your county in seeing if you are maximizing your revenue streams. What the Barrett Group specializes in is, is making sure that the various revenues that come into the state, particularly the state shared revenues, are adequately and properly being assigned to your county for your use. And that looks at not just what's currently coming in, but any past collections that may have gone elsewhere or may not have made it here, or any local or state opportunities that you may have missed that should have been coming to your county. And I want to point out, before we get too far into this, that the reviews that are undertaken by the Barrett Group are not, the issues we find are not something that your budget staff or any of your constitutional officers have intentionally missed, failed to do their job in identifying this. These are things that just as time goes on, as new laws come about, as we're reliant upon taxpayers or other individuals to submit information, that information gets put in faulty or falls to the cracks somewhere or another. So what we're talking about is nothing that the staff has stepped out of line with or overlooked in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Some of the things we look at, and I'll go through several of them because this is a multi-phase process that takes place. One of them are your situs taxes. Your situs taxes are, situs is Latin for position. I don't think we can get away from any of the foreign countries nowadays. But that means the point of sale. And you have several taxes that are assigned to your county based on where the sale took place. You go into a convenience store and you buy something, that point of sale, that location being here in Smith County, that money belongs to Smith County. So that's what we look for with those types of things. And one of those situs-based taxes, I'll give you an example, is your hall tax. That's paid by taxpayers on their investments and dividends. And about 3/8 of that comes back to the local government where the resident resides. That's going away in 2021, January 2021, but it's still something that you have an opportunity to go back and catch any that went the wrong place and make sure it's correct from here going forward. And if we back up to this, this is a list of the state shared revenues. Your county participates in most, if not all of these. So this is the base list that I start with to review and see where it may be missing, where you may not be getting it, or where it just may simply have fallen through the cracks. And as I said, this is not something that any county government individual is missing. Usually what happens is a taxpayer or their preparer fills out information. In some cases, the taxpayer preparer is not even located in the county. They have a corporate office somewhere else, and they simply say, oh, you're in Carthage, Tennessee. Well, then that must go to Carthage. Well, we all know how the city and county lines go around here. You can live in the county and still live in Carthage, or be called Carthage. So someone inadvertently puts a wrong code in there for assigning. The state's software accepts that as it is, nobody double checks it, and from there going forward, everything is assigned improperly. There's never a review, if you will, at that level for the taxpayer information. Now, I will tell you, generally, this is not going to cause, 99.9% of the time, what we're going through will cause absolutely no reaction from your taxpayer. They're completely unaware the mistake has been made, and they are not aware when the change takes place and corrects it. They pay no more or less than they paid what they owed before, they're going to pay what they owed for it. They don't know anything's taking place. So all this takes place behind the scenes. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain kind of process. In addition to those situs taxes, some of the local and state opportunities I speak of are things along this. And the examples I give here are simply examples. Whether or not they're going to apply to Smith County, I can't confirm until we get to that point. But here's an example of one. In counties where there's annexation taking place, let's say Carthage comes in and annexes 100 acres out of the county into the city. For 15 years, the county is supposed to be held harmless for any revenue that is lost from that on a business level. Hidden law, most folks don't pay attention to that. This is what we come in to do. Or you have mayors change every 4 years, every 8 years, or new councils. This is something that just passes in Nashville. They don't think twice about notifying it, or one council knows about it, they don't pass information on to somebody else. So these are the hidden things we go in and look at. And I say hidden just because it's not part of the regular day-to-day activity of your staff. They're busy keeping up with everything that comes in on a daily basis, quarterly filings, annual filings. These things just don't hit the radar that often. As I said, Smith County entered into a contract on September 13th, 2019. We have completely completed 2 phases of what may end up being 10 phases of review. But on the first 2 phases, we received the requested data for review. And in this situation, we asked for data from the state that was relevant to Smith County. I run that through about 4 different checks and balances systems before we come back and say, okay, this is something we think is wrong and needs to be corrected. So from November till January, ran the queries, the double checks, triple checks, quadruple checks. We submitted the corrections to the state, and then the state determines the revenue amount. I never get to see tax dollar numbers or any of the financials as they're working through the system. This total amount, the final, yes, it's correct, this is the amount, comes from the state and is calculated by the state. It's nothing that the mayor's office does or I do. Phase 3, and I'll get to what those phases are, what encompasses those phases in a moment. Phase 3, we have received the data, set the corrections, and I expect the amounts within 2 weeks of the recoveries from that. Let me explain the phases we've gone through. The first 3 phases, we reviewed your sales tax. There were 4 new revenue accounts. Those dollars are reoccurring. You're going to see them every year, time and time again, and I'll get to those dollar amounts in a moment. Your hall tax, 21 new revenue accounts. We'll have a recovery amount and then 6 more months worth of that, so that'll be a nice little amount, but nothing you can count on reoccurring. And then mixed drink tax, we have 2 new revenue accounts with that will be reoccurring going forward. And when I talk about these reoccurring accounts, those 2 particular, you're looking at as long as those businesses stay in business. So you could have a 20-year, 30-year reoccurring increase in your revenue. No actions needed by you as a county commission with any of these. In the later phases, there will be. I'll bring things forward and say, this is what you need to be doing. You have to say yes or no to it. So you'll be up to speed on everything. These are things that, again, were behind the scenes, administratively needed to be corrected, and we got them corrected. And we've started the reviews underway for phases 4 plus however many more we end up with. In a month to 2, depending on how all this COVID-19 goes, I will want to come back and make some presentations to you, give you some information, some things to consider, and move forward on from there. One of the benefits you get by going with the mayor's got by going with the mayor group, I do all the research of the taxes. I'm not relying upon any of the staff. I put little to no burden on your existing budget finance office members. I prepare the reports that indicate the needed adjustments. I send the changes to the vendor or the correct local state government or to local or state department. I follow up to ensure the changes get made, that they're correctly assigned. Any accounting steps that have to go through, Daisy and I have had several conversations of working the process through to make sure accounting steps get taken properly to make the corrections. And again, there's no result of any taxpayer having to make corrections unless they're not currently paying a tax. That's that 0.1% that if we find somebody that's not on board with what they're supposed to be doing, we're going to alert you to that as well, and I will walk them through the steps of making sure they get current and that's not a burden that's put on your already burdened staff. We have the manpower and the time to do this. As you saw, we entered into contract in September. It has taken 7 months to get where we are right now. So it is a long, tedious, staying on top of the processes going on to make sure we get the results back and the data is all checked as thoroughly as it should be. Your current bookkeeping staff would have to add this to their current duties. Would likely require more staff, additional and potential overtime hours. So that takes that extra burden off of them because these are usually one-time, one-and-done situations. And it would be quite unnecessary for you to hire staff to come in for a year and a half, however long this process is going to take. And then set them up with benefits and everything, and then just at the end of a year and a half say, okay, we don't need you anymore. And this is not a daily process where you have somebody busy 28 hours a day, every day. I have a 20-year history of cost savings and reduction and revenue generation, so I'll show you some of those in a moment. And I'm not just looking at your financials, I'm looking at what's missing, what's not there, and finding a way to get it back into the process. I tell my husband, my accountant looks to make sure A plus B equals C. I want to make sure that what's in A and what's in B is in there so that C is proper. These are some of the results we've seen in other counties. I've ranked them by county population. We make no guarantee of the results. We've had one county, I found $40. That was a long drive for a little work. A lot of work for a little of nothing. But at the same time, you can look down at the 16,000 populace in the middle. One county ended up with $18,000, the other one $215,000 in recurring monies. None of these counties are finished, by the way. As new things come up, we come back in and say, hey, I think we found something. I was checking in this other county, I think it's going to apply here as well. So those pop up from time to time, and all these are still open counties in the event we find something else. On the commercial side, these are some of the savings we've been able to find. Again, reviewing costs. On the business side, I look at the costs and see what they're spending, where they could be reducing their costs. And these are some of the savings we've had all across the board in various different aspects of private sector business. I'm going to go to this really quick, and I'll go back and stand for questions. The county actions are really very limited. The mayor signed the contract. From time to time, I'll have the mayor address letters because he is the point person for various entities. When we're dealing with the state, it all has to come with his sign off on what we request, whether it's data, whether it's the corrections. So I'm in constant contact with his office as actions need to take place, and he's usually the first one that knows what's going to come about, or we find out simultaneously. Potential meetings with some of your constitutional officers. Again, Daisy and I communicate frequently when need be, as those other phases come up, those offices may be needed to be contacted to get information and confirm things that I'm looking into. We've already got 7 months into the project. I'm expecting the bulk of it to be done in 6 to 9 months. Again, if things pop up periodically, we may come back at the end of that and say, hey, we found something else, let me come in for 2 months and see what we can review without. This is the exciting part that I want to show. Usually when I come in, I am simply working with, we haven't gotten this far in the process. And I'm glad to say, with the mayor's help, we've been able to be a little further along in the process. So as I said, we have 3 phases we've already completed. Your sales tax, your hall tax, your mixed drink tax. Just out of 4 accounts in your sales tax, it was a one-time recovery of $254,023. It will now become, in addition to that one time, it will now become a reoccurring increase in your sales tax collections of $127,000. Expecting that to have a life expectancy of 20 years, that's $2.6 million new dollars over the next 20 years the county now has in its funds. Hall tax, we have 18 accounts. Again, we'll have those numbers we're expecting in about 2 weeks. You'll have a one-time recovery or a clawback, if you will, of monies that for a period of time were going to the wrong place, so now will come back. And then you'll have half a year of life expectancy left on that hall tax. I'm going to put that there because, as I indicated, it is expected to go away in 2021. January 1, 2021 is everyone's calling it the repeal of the hall tax, and that's incorrect. It is a reduction of the hall tax to 0%. It will remain on the books, and at any time, the General Assembly can come back and bring that back up. I suspect everything's going to be on the table this year after COVID-19 and the effects it's had, not only on the counties, but on the state as well. And then your mixed drink tax, 2 accounts, a one-time recovery of almost $20,000, a reoccurring annual increase of $6,300 for a 20-year long-term expected increase of $132,000. It's about $2.8 million we've discovered already for Smith County, and we're only in the phase 3. So with that, I will stand for questions. I know I've thrown a lot out at you, and there's bound to be, I know that some of this has already happened. There are some talk that's taken place, so I'll answer any questions that I can.
Any questions?
What is your fee for your services?
All right, my fee is, if we find nothing, there's no fee. Obviously, we're at a point in time where we have found something here. And this spreadsheet is going to be the best example to explain my fee. It is 50% of the first 12-month finding, or the recovery. So, and the recovery can go back 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 12 years, depending on the law, the type of revenue that it is. So those vary depending on it. So you've got a one-time expense. For example, we're looking at your reoccurring on sales tax. The fees that we taken off the one time, but you're looking at $2.6 million coming in out of that.
So that's after your fee.
You'd have to take off my fee off that, so $2.5 million. And to give you some example, and I'll wrap up with this, I've listed these 4 entities down here on the sales tax. These are the 4, and I don't typically release this, but it's easy information and knowledgeable. We've got you had 4 accounts, 4 taxpayers that, again, honest mistake, probably their tax preparer at corporate filled it in the wrong way, made a mistake and put it to a municipality it shouldn't be going to. But for the research I could do quickly today before I came down here, 2 of your companies, you should have been receiving that money since December 2019 and November 2012. We're now into May 2020, and you're just now getting to start receiving the monies that has belonged to the county the entire time. Is that Mayor?
Any other questions?
Talking about your fee, was that just a flat-out rate fee, or was that a negotiating fee?
Flat out rate fee.
It was in your contract that y'all passed and y'all approved in September, August or September.
And this fee is typical to what you see with other professional services that come in. If you have individuals that come in and review your telephone bills, or come in and review your electricity usage, in any of the capacities, that's base standard rate. Well, wonderful. I look forward to coming back in month 2, depending on how things go, and make some more presentations to you, and we'll see these numbers increase dramatically, I'm hoping.
Thank you for your hard work, Ms. Donna.
And Mayor, if it's okay, I'll pack up and thank you.
All right, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's meet now for everyone. The next item is just for your information, is the election of Mr. Kenneth Buck Nixon to the Smith County Utility District Board of Commissioners. We made that selection last week. That is the only action that we have when it comes to a utility district. It's selecting a board member from the list that they give us. Our water utility districts in this county are independent businesses that are governed by another set of rules. They have do not fall under the county government. All right, we will move on to number 7. That is, are there any amendments or additions to the agenda? If not, I will take a motion to approve and move forward.
So moved.
Chaz. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda and move forward. Any discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving forward. Next item on the list is our county mayor report. It's good to see y'all. I've
Hi,
missed you.
Jeff.
It's been, I jokingly said the other day, the last 8 weeks have been the longest 15 years of my life.
Amen.
And I'm sure you all feel the same. It's been a interesting time to say the least. I've spent a lot of time with Dr. Duke, as many of you have seen. We've been on the World Wide Web many times and updating. We kind of backed down just a little bit on those frequency of updates. Big thanks to Doc. He helped put together our Smith County Task Force, and they've been very, very helpful in proceeding through this pandemic, I guess you'd say. We meet once a week on a conference call and discuss what's going on, give updates on from far as from county government, healthcare, EMS, rescue, sheriff's department, the city governments, all that. We all just collaborate and share what's going on. So there's that. We've tried to push information out every day as much as we could. I know Doc does. I finally told him one time just to put his computer away and go outside and do something, because he was sending way too much data for me to try to process it. I laughed and told him one day that he had stretched about all the biology that Miss Betsy Brose had taught me. I could understand it after going through this. And hopefully, maybe we'll never have to do anything like this again, because it has definitely been an interesting time. We've worked, the federal government put down some guidelines on how you can pay people. We did lay some people, we laid part-time people off at the fitness center and the library. We worked, everyone else has been working from home, and then you'll see on the packet, we've got a new telecommuting policy that we've had to add to our policy that the policy committee approved last week, and trying to make sure that everybody was working from home. And there's been, if you tested, you got a 2 weeks for pay, and daycare, if it was shut down, there was a way you could get 2 weeks pay, with the caveat that they threw out there that if you do this and do it correctly, this will end up being a tax credit on your employment taxes down the road. Now, I'm not, Daisy, if I'm, throw something at me if I'm speaking wrong, but it's been a juggle trying to figure that out. We have tried to make our decisions based off common sense, and mainly what the governor's executive orders come out, and there at the first they were changing daily, and it changed daily, and it was you all know y'all been affected by it as much as I have. And like I say, today we stand at 24 reported cases. We have 18 recovered cases. We did suffer 1 death. So you add all those together and subtract, and today we have 5 active cases. But I'll say that Doc says that tells us what happened 7 to 10 days ago. See, I've learned. So, we started kind of the opening up period last week, so we will see if that changes our numbers as far as what our business is going back to work. There was times where businesses were shut down and others were open, and that was my biggest problem with the whole deal. Is I felt like there was winners and losers chosen, and I didn't like that, and I made that known to anybody that would listen to me. And especially when it came out and when everybody else got to open, and hairdressers and dentists, and I proceeded to, I don't know that I had anything to do with it, because the people I talked to said I was not the only one to call that day. But we let it be known that we didn't think it was fair, and that these people had the right to be open, and you had the right to choose whether you wanted to go get a haircut or go to the dentist. That was just my opinion on that situation. When it comes to freedoms and liberties and personal responsibility, I'm a big fan of both, and or all three. So that was my taking on that. Today, we got a little more direction on some playgrounds and athletic fields. We did take down our barricades there and unlock some things. We are still not taking rentals for here or our shelters till the end of this month. Simple fact is, we canceled some people because we didn't know where we'd be, so we didn't think it would be fair to rent back if we had already canceled for other people. Our plan is to open the Turner building back up in the morning to public access. We spent last week putting in some plexiglass guarding in all the offices that requested that. You'll see a change in Clifford's office. It's kind of different how you do business there now. And it's something that we think should have been done probably a long time ago. Would you agree? It makes it easier on that office to function. But we still urge you, use the mail, use the drop boxes, and online if you can, just that. And also remember that tags and license renewals are extended until June the 15th. That still is correct, to June 15th before you are past due on any of those. Do what? Most people don't got them. That's true. I mean, it didn't slow anybody down. They've been busy, so we think that. And as things are starting to transition back to maybe a pre-COVID normal, I want to say thank you to our citizens for the part they played into helping stop the spread of this. Again, we tried to make common sense decisions based on what we did. We didn't, you can sit and argue all day, was it too much, was it not enough, and that kind of things, but we feel like we've come through, and if we be smart and continue to do the right things, maybe this will be a distant memory for long. One thing I want to talk about, the long-term economic ramifications are unknown. Nobody knows where we're going to be sitting in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I've been on so many Zoom calls and conference calls and webinars that, it seems like that's all I do anymore. That's just what we do. And predictions for what the economy is going to look like in next month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, all over the place. V-shaped recovery, U-shaped recovery, W-shaped recovery it's everything. I've heard everything from bounce back immediately to second Great Depression. So, with all that being said, after consulting with the comptroller and other counties and the state's directions, we asked Budget and Finance last week to give us the okay to prepare a no-growth budget outside of state mandates, unfunded mandates, to pass the same budget we passed last year. We feel like we can take some of those, we can make a few cuts along the way and some things that we've seen this year and get that back down to the same budget we passed last year. And then our intention is to weekly, daily, monthly monitor that and see the trends of where we're going with our revenues, with our expenses, and and be on the proactive side to be, if we see bad things coming, that we automatically pull spending back and start pushing those things down. We're still digging out of that hole we had last year. With the uncertain times and economic times, Ms. Donna has found us some new monies, but I don't think right now is the time to try to increase spending on anything we've got. That's just my opinion. Of course, you guys are the 24 that get to vote on that, so you guys will make those decisions. I'm just asking you, that is my opinion of what we need to do, and I trust that you guys will make that decision and go from there. One bright spot, we did pay our tax anticipation note off early. Did we not, Daisy? February, did we pay it off in February? March, paid it off in March, so we don't have that debt. We could save some interest there, that kind of offset the early taxpayer discount, so it was a wash, basically. Right now, we don't anticipate borrowing money to start this year. We're going to watch that. Things could change in the next 2 months, depending on what sales tax numbers do, depending on those kind of things. But right now, we don't think we're going to have to. We'll manage that from here and be on top of that. But that's kind of our goal. What the plan with budget is Daisy and I will put that together, present it to Budget and Finance somewhere around the 21st. Is that correct? At that time, we will get it to everybody, not just budget and finance, and then we plan on coming back somewhere around the 1st of June with a budget and finance / county commission workshop where we bring everybody in. You can bring your questions and concerns at that time. If there's anybody that you would like to come and address the body that night, that'll be fine. There'll be a workshop, and then pass a budget late June like we always do. That is our plan when it comes to budgets. And appreciate you guys giving us the trust to get that put together. Website, finally, we see a light at the end of that tunnel. Should be done a week or two. Next 2 weeks, Stacy's took that on, and I appreciate the work she's doing on that. I finally decided that I couldn't do it, and I had to give it to her, so I gave it to her. She's done a great job getting that done, so we should have that done. With that, we'll be able to push more information out to our people, you guys, and everybody. While I'm sitting here, I want to ask this question. Who is not getting their emails?
Mine is 50/50.
50/50.
I have a problem with
You
that.
have a problem, Chaz has a problem. All right, if you can, call Stacy in your leisure and just tell her what you're seeing, and we'll do some checking on that, because, we want to make sure everybody's getting that, and make sure, that, like I say, we're trying to figure out a way to get to the point where it's all electric and we don't have to print these big packets out anymore, and save some trees, save some money as well. Other than that, that's about all I got. Got any questions for me? If not, we'll move on to Miss Daisy and your financial reports. Any questions on those? Any questions?
Mayor, where exactly, we're in financial report, where exactly are we sitting in the fund balance today? I mean, right now, at this point in time, money-wise, where are we sitting at?
In the general fund, I said how that's general
Yes,
fund.
Jerry.
In the general fund, we are around 2.6 million today. Of course, we'll have, if you look at your cash flows, that's kind of what those attempt to predict. Of course, Mayor mentioned, we have no idea what our outcome is going to be over the next couple of months. And really, with COVID, we're going to see the effects of it after the fact, because as the state collects taxes and then sends back to us, that's when we'll kind of know how we were hit. Our environment is good as being rural and not dependent heavily on maybe some revenue streams that other bigger cities that are not as rural are dependent on. We have an advantage there. Our grocery stores haven't stopped, our stores out in the county, lots of them have been able to be open. I know some have had closures, some have tried to accommodate, so don't know what to expect there. That's where he said we would kind of continue to watch it. But basically 2.6, and like he said, we paid off that tax anticipation note early, so managing that as we see how revenues comes in, so that hopefully we end up, what is in your cash flow is somewhere around $1 million. So usually if we can end up around $1 million in cash, you end up a couple $100,000 better than that in fund balance. So if we can continue that well, then I anticipate that, we will get to a place quicker where we don't have to borrow to get by. If the quicker we can get there, the quicker you can see exactly where you want the revenue to be able to sustain what we've got going on, and, make a plan from there on how we move forward.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you, David. All right, we'll move on to number 9, committee reports. You have those in your packet. The one thing that needs action on that comes from the personnel policy that met May 4th of 2020. And on pages 67 and 72 is that telecommuting policy that when we started some of this stuff with the COVID, when we were letting people work from home and all the different things, one thing that audit asked us to do was to pass a policy basically retro to what we'd already done, so we would have that in place going forward. So in times of emergency, you'll be able to go back to this policy and make your decisions off of that. It's not a full-time deal, it's only for times of emergencies, when these kind of things happen. If you have time to read, to check those out, I will take a motion to approve and add those to our policy book.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Second.
Second by Shannon. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve that policy. Are there any discussion or questions on that motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So, new business, Section D of new businesses are resolutions. They are all fund balance, or fund, general fund, and budget amendments for the highway fund, the general fund, solid waste, general debt service, and education debt service. We can approve them one at a time, or we'll take a motion to combine. Frank's motion to combine. Okay, have a motion to combine.
Second.
Second, David. All right. I have a motion and a second to combine the budget amendments. Any questions or discussion on that? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. All right, now I will take a motion to approve the budget amendments listed in Section D.
Motion approved.
Second by Dennis Hackett. I have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments. Any questions or discussions?
Anything coming out of fund balance?
No.
There are on some of them.
There are?
Are you want, what specifically?
Just any funds,
Any of them?
any funds coming from the fund balance out of that fund?
Let me go back and I'll go through them right quick.
Or are they all moved within the fund?
Most of them are moving in. I'll go back through them real quick, because I know there's at least one. On page 76. This is the highway fund budget amendment, so there's $500 coming from the fund balance for, a insurance deductible where they had a repair. They didn't have enough available funds, they felt like sitting in another line, so they went to pull $500 there. And on page 79, the general debt service, fund 151. We're requesting to move $14,000 from fund balance into, trustees commission and financial advisory services. That's just due to there not being enough budgeted in trustees commission due to the increase that we saw in collections. And, financial advisory services provided by Cumberland Securities for our continuing disclosure statements for our debt. And then on page 80, I believe that is. Yes. Fund 156 is still collecting just a trickle of, prior year tax collections. That's the education debt service. That debt is gone and paid off, but any prior year tax collections still that were collected for that purpose in those years have to go here, and we need $1,000 in trustees commission in that. And that's all.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, we'll do roll call then. Stacy?
Shannon Green,
Yes.
Glenn Reese.
Yes.
Terry Givens,
Yes.
Billy Bass,
Yes.
Brady Kirby,
Yes.
Jason Stewart,
Yes.
Jimmy Winfrey,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps, Dalton Paschal,
Yes.
Shannon Meachie,
Yes.
Erica Eagle,
Yes.
Ron Schumate,
Yes.
Ron Callan,
Yes.
Linda Nixon,
Yes.
Eddie Stout,
Yes.
Roger Duke,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Bill Reese,
Yes.
Tommy Vane,
Yes.
Joey Nixon,
Yes.
Dennis Hackett,
Yes.
David Gross,
Yes.
Frank Woodard,
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, item E is a list of notaries. I will take a motion to approve.
Motion for approval.
Second.
I think that was Dennis was the first, and the second was, I heard the second was from Ron. I know there's one over here, but I don't know who that was. Ron Schumacher was the second. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the notaries as written. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Notaries passed. Number 11, other business. Is there any other business before we adjourn? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn. Frank Woodard.
Motion adjourned.
Second, Dennis. I have a motion and a second. Stand adjourned.
Thank you.